what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1970 Volkswagen Beetle. Behind me is a 1.6 liter flat 4 and down below is a 4-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Beetle for many reasons, mainly the fact that I have not driven a Beetle like this before, and so that is always super exciting. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker packer big friggin' bottle sticker, both with free shipping. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 1.6 liter flat 6 behind me. Well, it's an air-cooled engine, and it was actually new for 1970. Beetles before that actually came with a 1.5 liter, and actually in 1970, Europe still only got the 1.5 liter. Us Yankees got the bigger 1.6. It makes about 57 horsepower, and that's all you really need in a little car like this. This car does have an aftermarket cam and exhaust, and it sounds good. Yeah, Beetle! Like I said, paired to a 4-speed manual transmission, really nice and easy to get it into gear. There's no fuss about it. The shifter isn't super precise. However, it's a 70s car, and I'm not gonna complain about it. Last but not least, the Beetle is, of course, rear-wheel drive. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have one singular gauge. In the center, I do get my fuel, and then on the outside, I get my speedometer. However, this has been modified to have turn signals that go to either side. Traditional 70s Volkswagens, their turn signal indicator was just one single light. You're seeing that now. So the owner actually modified it to show both sides. Kind of a funny modification, but a necessary one. The steering wheel has also been changed out. This is not the original wheel. However, it does have a nice Wolfsburg logo in the center. Love that nice little touch. To the left of me, I don't have anything. And on the door, I just have my crank for the window and latch to get in and out. Moving into the center, I do have my headlight and wiper controls. Of course, an aftermarket radio. And down below, I have my hazard switch, which I love. It's almost like this jewel, and it actually flashes when you turn on your hazards. I love that little like jewel looking thing. I think it looks great. Then I do have the shift pattern too, which is very unique and a cool little touch for the Beetle. Moving on to the center console, I do have an aftermarket basket. However, I don't get any natural cup holders here in the Beetle. So, unfortunately, the 1970 Volkswagen Beetle fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then we come to the shifter. Very, very tall. Like I said, the shifter isn't super exact. However, it's doing the job. Then, in between the seats, I do have the parking brake, of course, but then I get these two little levers. These are actually for the heating controls. So, the Beetle will actually pull hot air off of the engine, and then it deposits it right at the rear seat occupant's calves, which is kind of funny. So if your calves get cold usually, ride in the back of an older Beetle. They'll warm up pretty quick. Speaking of riding in the car, the seats are comfortable. However, these are not the factory seats. These are actually out of an Acura Integra. This whole car has been restored actually down in Mexico, and when it was restored, they ended up matching the fabric of the Integra seats to the rest of the interior while adding blue stitching. I think it's an awesome attention to detail, and we'll talk more about the restoration when we talk about the exterior. However, we do have back seats here in the Volkswagen Beetle, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 1970 Volkswagen Beetle, and the seats have been reupholstered, and they still retain some of the horsehair that was originally used to make these seats. So it has that very typical 70s Volkswagen smell to it, which I love. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable, and actually headroom is a lot better than I thought. These were used as taxis throughout the world, but mainly in Mexico. So riding back here with your luggage, not the end of the world, kind of surprising. I actually really, really like that, and it's kind of cool to be sitting back here because it's such a shared experience, not only here in America of going on the road trips, but just across the world. I'm sure there's viewers in Mexico, Brazil, Europe that have ridden back here and have these similar memories. So I kind of feel like I'm part of a collective memory, if you will, and that is super unique. Let's talk about the frunk up front, and then we'll talk about the looks. So interestingly enough, actually inside the glove box, there's this little lock. That is to unlock the front trunk. So then we can come around here grab this little handle and then just pull up. And of course, this is where you get your spare tire. This is just like so Herbie the Love Bug to me. And then you also get your tire iron, of course. And then this is actually a jack, which as you can see over here, there's this little square you can put it into. You just put the jack in and then it raises the whole side of the car, which is really, really ingenious. Not a whole ton of storage space, however, it's a frunk in a Beetle, and that's the coolest thing in the whole wide world. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I love this color of the Beetle. It's a little bit more rarer of a color. You normally see a lighter blue if you see any blue at all. And I love the color matched wheels, and just looking at the Beetle itself, it's just so cool. It's so iconic and so amazing to me to be driving such a unique piece of not only American culture and history, but worldwide history and culture. I love that. However, with the exterior, I do want to mention the restoration one more time. This was sent down to Mexico to get restored to its former glory, and it was an expensive one. $600. $600 to restore the car and get it looking like this. That is the deal to end all deals. Now, that was a few years ago, and the owner said, you'll probably pay upwards of $1,000 now. Are you kidding me? I'll pay $10,000. This thing looks awesome for $600. But that aside, let's get on to my final thoughts. Well, I want to talk about the history and importance of the Beetle, but first of all, let's get my driving impressions out of the way. Super fun to drive. I really do enjoy it. However, I do have to say I'm bummed out by one thing. I am too large for it. Getting my foot in the door, not the easiest thing in the world. The driving position is a little tight for me. However, I'm larger than most. So to be expected, I just have loved Beetles for so long that to now sit in one and realize that I'd probably have to do some serious comfort modifications to really, truly love it, it's a little sad. A little sad day. However, let's talk about the importance of the Beetle. Well, as most people know, the Beetle started in Germany in the 1930s. An awful man by the name of Adolf Hitler wanted a people's car for Germany. He wanted a cheap, reliable way for the everyman to own their own vehicle like they did in America. In the 1930s, 1 in 6 people in America owned a car. It wasn't like that in Europe. And Hitler, being a car enthusiast himself, although he never actually got his license, he loved riding around his Mercedes limousine. He thought it was the coolest thing in the world and wanted actually Germany to build their own race cars to promote the country as a whole. He was a car nut, actually. And so he told Ferdinand Porsche, hey, go out and make me a people's car. And he did. And so we got the Beetle. However, there's an often overlooked part of the story. After World War II, the Beetle factory had actually been bombed. It didn't have a roof. They could only make cars on sunny days. No one wanted the Beetle factory and no one wanted to carry on the Beetle. So the Allied powers got together with representatives from Great Britain and America, sat at a table and said, what do we do about this little car maker? And sitting at that table was a man by the name of Henry Ford II, along with the chairman of the board at the time for Ford Motor Company, Ernest Breech. And famously, after talking about what to do with the Beetle, Ernest Breech looked at Henry Ford II and famously said, Mr. Ford, I don't believe what we're being offered here is worth a damn. He said Volkswagen was worthless. Oh, how wrong Mr. Breech was. So Ferdinand Porsche, along with Heinz Nordhoff, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, set out to restart Volkswagen after the war. And it was rough at first because no one wanted a Nazi-designed car. However, with very clever marketing and a solid, low-cost, reliable product, Volkswagen started selling more and more. And when they came to America, they weren't really accepted at first. However, they were cheap and reliable, and they ended up becoming a symbol of the hippie movement. It was standing up to the man. You have to remember, in the 1960s and 70s, American vehicles were the size of most dormitories at today's universities. They were huge, massive, lunky cars. Well, what if you could buy a car that wasn't huge, lunky, and massive? It's the Beetle. You're talking about the Beetle. You're thinking about the Beetle. And that's exactly what it was. And so here in America, it started selling, and it sold really, really well. It became a people's car around the world. Mexico, Brazil, Europe, America, everywhere in the world, there were Beetles. And finally driving one today, I understand why. It's simple, it's light, it's floaty. It doesn't really seem bothered by anything besides its arch nemesis, a hill. It's not a big fan of these California hills. but you could road race them. You saw them in the movies that you went to go see. You could paint them any which way. If yours somehow miraculously found a way to break down, you could go buy another one. They weren't hard to find. They were readily available. The Model T put America on wheels. The Volkswagen Bug, they did the rest of the world. I love it so much. I just wish I fit a little bit better. But hey, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to John for letting me take out his Volkswagen Beetle. I finally got to drive something like this. And also something else I wanted to note is that I have a little personal connection with these. My dad, when he was a baby, was in a car accident in one of these, and his little infant head went through the windshield. I'm happy to report that the next generation of Pradle won't be putting any heads through any Volkswagen Bug windshields. Probably should have waited till I give the car back to say that, but oh well. Huge thank you to Jonathan for letting me live out one of my dreams of driving a vintage Beetle. So cool. He's been absolutely awesome to work with. Very, very knowledgeable. And just a great guy. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.